Right behind me, over my shoulder, across a bridge, in the middle of a restaurant parking lot, lays the wreckage from a twin-engine jet. But they've also received many tips that they have to work with as this manhunt continues on now into the night. And follows a recent industrial trend. Pack up and head south. Tennessee's failure to include juvenile sex offenders on its registry could start costing the state federal money next year. You got to expect that many of these new employees will no doubt come from right here in Cleveland. And there was a bit of a preseason ruckus Friday night in Atlanta between the Falcons and the Titans. Well, Casey Kane was a rain dance away from pulling off a sweep in Pocono. He was out there. Well, John, it is a sad day, a very exhaustive day for police here in Grundy County. We are now entering our 15th hour of a massive statewide manhunt. As you mentioned, we're talking several hundred different officers from 2 different law enforcement agencies all throughout the Tennessee Valley have joined in this effort. They are looking for a man who they still consider armed and extremely dangerous. He is the killer of Deputy Anthony Shane Tate. Shane Tate was a Grundy County deputy for less than a year. He had recently graduated from the police academy and was so new to the streets, the sheriff's department had yet to take a picture of him in uniform.
It's a sad day for law enforcement in the state. We've lost a part of our family and out here trying to protect and serve.
Tate died Thursday morning serving an arrest warrant for 29-year-old Kermit Bryson. Investigators say around 3 a.m., Bryson opened fire on Tate and Monteagle officer Brian Melhoy.
The warrant that was being served this morning was for a probation violation warrant for a felony drug charge. They have been looking for him in Grundy County for about 6 to 8 months.
The shootout happened at 1111 Mount Eagle Falls Road. Tate died on the scene. Melhoy was grazed by a bullet and suffered non-life-threatening injuries. Bryson took off on foot with a gun in hand.
We have not located the deputy's gun at this time, but we cannot confirm that he took it.
Grundy County knew he was dangerous months ago. He has proven that fact even more so today.
Bryson is a convicted felon with a long criminal history. The TBI says Deputy Tate leaves behind children. Jason Boston knew the storm was coming.
They were almost to the bathroom. They was going to get in the tub, and I was running right along behind them and just got hit. I mean, I could hear it just sounded like the house exploded.
The Boston family received the worst of the injuries in Tuesday night's tornado. Jason suffered deep cuts on his face and body. His young children were also cut by glass, and his wife Kayla is still in a hospital with broken bones. Their house is a pile of splinters and glass.
When it calmed down, I looked around for my kids, my wife, and found all of them, and it just, I don't know, it's hard to explain, it's something I don't want to ever have to go through again.
The Boyd subdivision was easily the hardest hit neighborhood in Kimball. All in all, 3 homes completely wiped out. The residents here sustained only minor injuries, but looking at the damage, it's still incredible that no one was killed.
Blink of an eye and it was over with. We were laying out in the yard in the bathtub.
Fred Dye and his wife lived next to the Bostons, and like them, their house is a total loss. Everything Dye owns is now in trash bags. Friends and co-workers came out to help both families salvage what they could.
All these guys works with me. That's coming help. So it's made a lot.
I come back last night and looked at it, and I just couldn't believe we made it out, but I'm very grateful for that.
The shock is slowly wearing off in this small town. The recovery is just beginning. In Kimball, Jason Law, WDEF News 12. Gas prices these days are driving everybody crazy. But are the prices high enough to make you stab your own friend?
Wasn't nothing to do with the price of gas, it's just a misunderstanding.
It had everything to do with the price of gas. They need to lower the prices of gas. They'll have less problems out of us.
42-year-old David Lunsford and 45-year-old Roger Gifford ended up behind bars because of an argument over fuel. Early Wednesday, the 2 men were driving on Congress Parkway in Athens when their gas tank went dry. Lunsford and Gifford took to walking, then began fighting over who would pay to refuel the car. You got stabbed? You took a stab?
Yeah, a little one.
You guys still friends, though?
It was an accident, yeah. We friends.
Police reports say Gifford used a pocket knife to stab his friend in the stomach. When police arrived, Lunsford was on the ground bleeding. Both men reeked of alcohol.
Kind of frustrating. You run out of gas and gallon costs you almost $4 a gallon. Hell, they need to do something about that. Poor people can't get by.
You think it's kind of ridiculous for
yeah, for the poor folks it is. Rich man, it don't hurt him a bit, but a poor man, he can't get by on that. He can't even hire a taxi. gas rates like that.
A gallon of gas today in Athens costs about $3.38. So that means that Gifford and Lunsford would have needed about $40 to fill up their car. But as it stands today, each man will have to pay around $500 apiece just in court fees alone. The two pleaded guilty to assault charges and public intoxication. Lunsford's mother was there to pick her son up from jail.
Yeah, he's my son.
And he got...
Sorry to say, he needs to get a rich job, I guess. The only way you go, or ride a bicycle.
Lunsford and Gifford, an extreme example of what can happen when you mix too much alcohol with the soaring prices at the pump. And Bill, the Crimson Tide last night, they embarrassed the #1 team in the ACC. We've got reactions from both coaches coming up. And the Bulldogs and the Mocs cannot get through Game 1 without some crucial injuries. A report on the aches and pains coming up in sports.
And now, WDEF News 12 Sports with Jason Long.
Most powerhouses like to begin their schedule against a smaller school, like Georgia did yesterday with Georgia Southern, just to warm things up and work out the last-minute kinks. But Alabama and Clemson didn't waste any time delivering us, the fans, a modern classic from the Georgia Dome. Saturday night, Nick Saban and his 24th-ranked Crimson Tide opened up against the top team in the ACC, the 9th-ranked Tigers. On neutral ground, there was no question in this one who the better team was. Let's go to the second quarter. The Tide are already up 13-3. John Parker Wilson already with a touchdown run under his belt. He finds Nick Walker in the corner of the end zone. Alabama is way out in front, 23-3 at halftime. Clemson's highly touted running game completely shut down by the Tide's D. Just 28 yards from the backfield. The Tigers show some signs of life early in the third quarter, though. Running back C.J. Spiller returns a punt for 96 yards. That pulls Clemson to within 13, but that was it for the Tigers. Alabama's defense held, and the offense continued to drive. End of the third, Wilson to Julio Jones. The senior quarterback was 22 of 30. The running game tallied up 239 yards to stun the Clemson Tigers last night, 34-10 in the Georgia Dome.
I don't think we've probably been beat that bad physically probably in 3 years.
Well, the #1 Georgia Bulldogs received another injury setback Saturday. Early in the game against Georgia Southern, senior defensive tackle Jeff Owens goes down after twisting his right knee. Owens is Georgia's top defensive lineman. He started in all 13 games last season, had 27 tackles. Defensive line coach Rodney Gardner expects Owens to be out for a while, possibly the rest of the year. Well, the Mocs come back to Chattanooga with only the comfort of knowing they got beat by one of the best football teams in the country. Coach Rodney Allison and the Mocs traveled to Oklahoma to take on the 4th-ranked Sooners, and the game went pretty much as expected. Oklahoma dropped 50 points and scored on every possession in the first half. The Sooners had 350 yards of offense. They held UTC to just 10. All the Mocs could do was pray. Quarterback Jared Gold had to leave the game in the third quarter with a stinger. Now, he should be fine and expects to play next Saturday when UTC hosts Cumberland. But, Bill, the biggest loss to UTC will be running back Errol Wynn. Wynn broke his hand in the second half. He could be out for the rest of the year. And a quick note, we got NASCAR Sprint Cup Series tonight. Jimmy Johnson is on the pole.